2024 has been a hard year for a lot of people. Jobs are being cut. Overseas factories are becoming a trend, but they're also starting to get shut down. AI is taking over pretty much every basic job you can imagine. Digital nomad and traveling, working abroad is becoming the new normal job. And the list truly does go on. And with all of this, there's so many ways to build wealth and create your own career. But why are so many people still failing? This comes down to 7 basic reasons. Not taking action, lack of consistency, being a copycat with no real benefit over the competition, focusing too hard on losing ideas that you're not winning at, not being resourceful, or just not trying to figure out the basic problems on your own. Those that are being cheap and not willing to spend money to make some money. And finally, just not getting out of that comfort zone. So today I'm going to break down this list of 7 reasons why people fail at starting their own business and how I went from 2015 out here in Vietnam teaching English to now having a free life where I can travel free and clear and not worry about having to be obligated to a single job. And before we get started, if you need help, you want extra advice, hit the join button below. So with that being said, guys, let's get into the first of 7 things: not taking action. Making plans or goals is honestly one of the easiest things, and is also extremely motivating. You sit down with a pen and paper and you start writing down what you want to do and an idea of how you're going to get there. And this is a great step. Then it gets you kind of the baby steps. I've seen people buy websites, create logos, pay people to help them make intro videos, do AI stuff, do all this basic stuff right away. But it never fails. Within a few weeks, a few months even, people start putting that stuff aside, kind of fading away from it like it's a New Year's resolution, like going to the gym. And if this does sound like you, don't think you're alone. This is literally like 98% of backpackers and business owners that I've met traveling through Asia. They plan their idea. They process the ideas. They start taking action on the introduction ideas, which bring almost instant results. But as they start getting to the harder things, they start getting bored. They start hating that they have to work for 1 or 2 months at a time with almost no results, because the best things in life don't happen overnight. They take years of process. Imagine Bill Gates giving up on Windows because Windows 3.1 was a complete ass. There would have never been what we see today, technology. So we have to keep pushing. This is where most people give up. That leads us to our second one: lack of consistency. Consistency goes hand in hand with taking action. Building a strong plan is a great start, but consistency in that plan is what is key to making it actually work. I've met so many people out here that want to do e-com, they want to do travel vlogs, start English centers, the list goes on. But they just fall short, and it's not only just the planning, but it's also the ones that start those first steps that aren't consistent. If you're not willing to put in 6 months of hard work on this idea, there isn't really a point to even starting the idea. And I know this sounds harsh, but if you get a job, a normal job, you're not just going to go to that job for like a month and a half and quit. You're going to show up every day. So why wouldn't you do that with your own expectations and goals? Nothing happens overnight. This stuff is going to take time. Setting up your English center, for example, getting the building, setting up some signs, getting the logo, writing out your lesson plans. This stuff could be done over the weekend. But getting the building furnished, getting it set up, getting the marketing launched, getting students in your classroom, this stuff takes time. And this is where 99% of people literally fail when it comes to English centers. You have to be consistent. And this also leads to people that fall into this copycat syndrome where they try to just copy somebody else's idea or job and just mimic it. This is something very common in Vietnam. If you go to a wedding shop, if you go to a pho restaurant, a barbecue, you're going to see right next door to that restaurant is this very exact same restaurant. So creativity is very much lacking even in business with Western people. And that's what takes us to the next one, being an echo of another company or even a copycat. Have you ever met somebody that's like a trend follower? It's like every month they have this new big grand idea of how they're going to become rich and famous. And it's typically similar to something that's already going on or is just kind of faded off. And those that run into that typically lack 2 things. 1, an actual solid plan that we've already talked about. And 2, just like we talked about, consistency. And another reason why copycatting doesn't typically work out is when you're copying something, you're not bringing your own ideas to this project. So Vietnam is an example. If you open up a pho restaurant next door to a pho restaurant, you sell the exact same food, the same exact items, but it's just a little cheaper. What value are you bringing to customers that are going to come to your restaurant? Nothing. You don't have credibility. You don't have longevity, but you just have something that costs a few cents less. You have to bring value that's different than what you're actually copying. So if you do decide to copycat, you have to level up. And this doesn't have to just be business. This could be something like vlogging, traveling through Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Singapore, Malaysia, all these countries. I meet so many people. Some of them recognize me, some of them don't. But the ones that do recognize me, they're like, hey, David, you're that endless travel guy. You do travel vlogs. I so want to do that. And we'll sit down. We'll grab a drink. I'll talk to them how I do things, how I set up my programs, what software I use. And it's like the next day I get a text from them saying, hey, I just bought a GoPro. Let's go do my first vlog. Okay, let's go. I'm completely down. And then I go out there, I meet them, and it's like they don't even know what to do. They're just literally mimicking exactly what I did, which doesn't bring value to them because now they're just competing with me without adding any of their own personal personality or ideas to the project. This is a failed program. And I've seen many of these people that have mimicked me, and I've watched them. I even follow them on my channel, and almost all of them, they've stopped posting. They've stopped doing things. They still travel, but they just don't vlog no more because they don't get rich off of it. So if you are going to copy somebody, mimic somebody, that's great. That's fine. That's how innovation works. But you have to bring your own flavor to the game. How do you stand out? And the worst part about these that copycat is they don't know when to stop and they get too deep in debt. Which brings us to our next point. Keeping on a losing idea past your breakpoint. The amount of people that I've met that are consistent on a bad idea is honestly higher than people I see that are consistent on a good idea. And I have to say, respect for the hard work and dedication. That's something that most people lack. So it's cool that they're doing it in regards to consistency. But working hard isn't always the best solution if nobody has any interest in what you're offering. And this is where self-reflection, reviews, feedback, all this stuff comes into play. You need to stop once in a while. Look at your comments. Look at your feedback, your customer feedback. Look at your returns if you're doing e-coms. Look at your scripting if you're doing YouTube or podcast. Find out what's going on. Are you making revenue? Are you at least breaking even? Are you getting more attention as the months progress? Or are you still sitting at 500 subscribers for the last 6 months? If these things are happening, you need to either reconstruct your original plan and start building differently, or two, you need to find a new idea. You can't keep working on something that's dead. Never fall in love with an idea. The ones that you love the most are going to be the ones that you ignore the obvious stuff about. Find ideas that work and focus on them. If there's something you love to do, like a hobby, do it. But don't plan it as your next job or venture, because that love and obsession could blind you. And a reason for that is, again, people don't look at the feedback. They don't reevaluate their ideas, and they just don't figure out what's going on. Which leads us to the next one. Being more resourceful and figuring things out on your own. Not being resourceful and not figuring out your own problems is one of the biggest problems I see with people. They just don't get it. When things are broken, they just don't know what to do. They don't even attempt to try to fix this problem. And what I see with this type of person, the characteristic of this, is they typically are asking for handouts instead of figuring out the problem and finding a solution for it. You have to find the solution. Not everybody is going to just give you stuff. So if you are stuck, or if you are in this like endless loop of things not working for you, take a break, look at the feedback, find problems that the customers are feeling, see what your competitors' customers' complaints are, and try to address those. Whatever it takes, you need to take a break and figure it out. Being stuck on a bad idea for 6 months is already bad enough. But when you refuse to actually figure out the problem and solve them on your own for your own idea, things are going to get even worse. We have AI, we have endless resources to solve and find these problems. There is no reason why you should be doing the same dead-end ideas month after month and sitting there asking somebody else to fix it for you. That doesn't make sense. You need to work fast. So find the problem, find the solution, and get on it right now. The next one has to deal with the actual money, of being cheap, not willing to spend money, and always looking for a shortcut in your business. And what it comes down to is a lot of business owners, startup people, entrepreneurs, they look for shortcuts. They don't want to take aggressive action. They don't want to take a lot of action. And they're trying to find a way to A to B something as quick as possible. And we can't live in this facade of a quick business plan, a bunch of shortcuts, and we can do it all for free. And that's because shortcuts rarely ever work in any realm of work. If you are doing this shortcut, this free route, this whatever it is, Understand there are millions, if not hundreds of millions of other people doing the same exact thing, which takes us back to problem number 2. You have to put your own edge on this copycat idea. So if you're trying to get through things with shortcuts, cheap ways, I don't want to spend any money, but I want to get rich. Understand there are millions of people already doing what you're doing. So how do you even stand out? Everyone's always looking for the fast, get rich quick gimmicks. They don't exist. So you're going to have to put something down, be it time or money or creativity, to make your idea work. It's not just going to happen for free with a bunch of shortcuts, because everybody else is probably doing the same thing you're trying to do. Now, this doesn't mean you need to go out there and spend $100,000. I actually have a rule where I don't spend more than $3,000 to $4,000 to do a startup company. Anything past that, I reevaluate my business plan. Can I do some of this online? Can I automate some of this? I start evaluating why I'm spending so much upfront, because if everything falls apart right away, how much do I actually lose? So you have to plan for this. You have to accept you're going to spend some money. And there is no free road to take to get wherever you're trying to get, because there's millions of people trying to go that same route as you for free. And plan how you can do it, and just be ready to spend some money. And just to give you some ideas. So when I started crypto, I think I spent right about $1,400. When it came to my e-com business, I spent approximately $800. And when I started my very first school in Saigon, I think I put down right about $3,500 for everything. I already wrote all my books. I had all the material I needed. The money really was just the first and second month of the actual building I rented. So be creative on how you start things up. I did a lot of stuff myself. I hired cheap labor out here to get a lot of other things done. And I kept everything always under that $3,000 to $4,000 mark. Anything past that, you're starting to put risk over value. You don't want to do that, because at that point, you're just gambling. And the final one today, getting out of your comfort zone. This has to be one of the hardest ones for a lot of people. This is why when people start up these new business ideas, they write out these business ideas and they get their website. They create their logo. They set everything up right away. And then once it starts coming to the hard work, they start pushing their comfort zone and they get worried. They get scared. They lack confidence. They get fearful and they stop. You have to break out of this. And when I think about all the people I've met in my life that start businesses, the biggest reasons they fail isn't because of the money. It's not always because of the laziness. And it wasn't about where they were living or where they were from. It was their ability to just get out of their comfort zone. And this reminds me of a mentor. He told me this a long time ago. I will never forget the quote. Poor people seek comfort, while successful people seek unresolved pain. You have to be ready to suffer. It's just part of the game. We were built to work hard and suffer, and that's where we're going to be. And getting out of that comfort zone will get you closer to a happier state and successful state. So what are some of these big issues that people typically run out? The biggest one is the comfort zone of communication. You have to start talking to people you wouldn't typically talk to. And you have to be able to be open and talk in public. So start going out to malls, go to coffee shops. Your feedback we talked about before, your business idea building ideas we talked about before, getting cheap labor that we talked about before, all comes from the start of communication. If you can't communicate with people, how are you going to build this idea? How are you going to know your idea sucks? How are you going to know your idea is bad? Sometimes you need to merge that idea with somebody else. How will you ever get that opportunity if you're sitting in your room all day doing absolutely nothing? You have to build that communication. It turned me from being a hermit, shy, egotistical punk to being somebody that could do public speaking, that could teach English in front of a class confidently, that could build ideas and see where my flaws were. And this is a very important part about getting out of your comfort is communication. So find a problem other people have. Find a solution for that problem and start fixing that problem and start having other people become part of your group to help you with that. Your idea is not unique. Your idea is not special. So don't be the one that feels like you have to hide your idea and hoard your idea from everybody because they're going to steal your idea. They don't have what's up here. So don't be scared to share it. Don't be scared to talk to other people about it, because maybe that idea you have just absolutely sucks. Or maybe you can find the team that can help you make it happen faster than ever. The world in general is falling apart economically. Time is getting short. I tell people all the time, July 2025 is when things are going to be absolutely horrible out here in Asia. I'm going to come back to this video one day and see if I was right or wrong. But it is, as of right now, the time you need to work fast. So work fast, get out of your comfort zone, build your ideas, and start taking action every day. Speed is your best friend. So do something today or start enjoying being poor. Till then, guys, I will see you again.
Bread no share full.